Podcast City Network.
Hey guys, this is Chris of FinalScore, and we are back for episode 10. That's right, we have hit double digits here at FinalScore. We have people literally freaking out here in the studio with excitement, just because that's how we do it around here. If you don't have a little bit of excitement, then what are you doing with your life? But definitely make sure that you keep up with all of our excitement on social media, over on Facebook at /PCN FinalScore, on Twitter at PCN FinalScore, on Podbean. Download our latest episodes at PCNFinalScore.podbean.com. And then, of course, scamper on over to Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play Music. Search keyword FinalScore. Give us a subscribe. And definitely download all of our episodes and enjoy them right now today. And in the studio with me is none other than my amazing co-host, Craig. How you doing, bud?
Doing great, man. Big week of sports.
Oh, yeah. Really big week. It's been exciting. And you know what? To kick things off, I feel like I just took a flashback. I feel like I just traveled 15 years into the past to see greatness rise once again at the Masters.
Yeah, Tiger Woods. I mean, what we were talking last week about all the things that we were looking forward to for the week and everything that gets lost in the shuffle. One of the greatest golf weekends of the calendar year,
yes.
The Masters at Augusta, and it did not disappoint. Tiger Woods was finished. He finished second after day 2, was second after day 3. He struggled in the first 9, but kept water. He treaded water and just powered through the back 9, and he ended up capturing his 5th green jacket and his first one since 2005, finishing at 13 under par. It was an amazing, amazing round. I had a chance to watch some of it this weekend. He actually looked like the Tiger of old.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he looked like the Tiger that wasn't trying to overpower his clubs like he had been the last 10 years through injury. He's had multiple spinal fusions in the last couple years.
4 back surgeries in total.
That's insane.
That is insane.
They told him they told him that he were going to fuse his spine together just so he could have somewhat of a normal life, let alone a golf career still.
And now look at him. He just turned around, killed it at the Masters, which, to throw it out there, he had 3 birdies over his final 6 holes that really put him in position. And literally, he did not win this by much. He only won this by 1 stroke, I think, over like 3 or 4 other players.
Yeah, the rest of the field was pretty close. I mean, you had guys like Francisco Molinari was in his grouping, and he kind of fell off a little bit, but he still finished 11 under. You had Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, and there's a name I actually can't pronounce.
Brooks Koepka?
No, not Koepka. The guy,
Xander. You're talking about Xander Schauffele.
Yeah, Schauffele. There you go. See, actually, you got one before I did.
Okay.
Okay.
I might have to pull a golf pop quiz on you.
But those guys played really well. Jason Day played really well. He went 5 under on the day to finish 11 under in total. But, I mean, Tiger Woods, he posted 2 rounds of sub 70 for the first time, and I couldn't tell you how long.
Oh, I know. It's been amazing. And he's 43 years old, keep in mind, you're doing all this.
Yeah, he captures his 5th green jacket. He's now only 1 behind Nicklaus.
Yes, which Nicklaus came out, I guess, directly after he had won and said on Twitter, quote, "A big well done for me to @Tiger Woods. I am so happy for him and for the game of golf. This is just fantastic at the Masters."
Golf is better when Tiger Woods is in the running, even in the running.
Absolutely.
Just because, like, there's a lot of great golfers, and don't get me wrong. Everybody loves to see. I'm a big Ricky Fowler fan.
Oh, there you go.
I love Ricky Fowler, but watching him and Spieth and Rory and all these guys and Jason Day and Dustin Johnson, watching all these guys play every week is a lot of fun because that's how I wish I could golf.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's how I wish I could be. But from a national spotlight standpoint, golf is a lot more profitable when Tiger is included and when he is in that final round, when he is in Sunday red
Yep.
And when he's competing for the leaderboard, that's when golf is usually at its best for popularity.
Absolutely, because Tiger Woods is such a polarizing figure and has accomplished so much, which he now has 15 major championships. That's a huge accomplishment.
That's huge.
And he's second to only Jack Nicklaus, who has 18, but still, Tiger Woods has been the face of golf for decades now. And that's the thing that it just blows my mind to think that it's been that long since he's won. But like you said, it's the most exciting when Tiger is in the mix. And he definitely was heavy in the mix and ended up coming out and set a record for the longest time between Masters wins.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. For the first time in his career, he overcame a third-round deficit to win a major.
Yeah. It was insane.
It's insane.
It was insane. Like, my mind is blown. And
so much excitement.
I love it. Do you realize the last time that he won the Masters, we still had flip phones? And you couldn't, and Uber was not created yet.
Oh, I know.
Uber was not a thing.
You know what's funny? Last time he won the Masters, I was still in high school.
Same. I was actually just about to graduate high school.
Yeah. It's so crazy looking back. But now Tiger Woods is yet again a majors champion, and I'm so proud of him and happy for him that he's been able to come through everything.
Oh man, like when he sank that putt to win. And they showed a shot of his mom was there and his son was there. That moment where he went and the crowd went insane. They started chanting Tiger, Tiger. And he walked up the ramp to go to the clubhouse and he met his son. And it was such an iconic moment because he wrapped his son up. He was hugging him, and a lot of people, it reminded them of when he won his first one when his dad was there and he hugged his dad. Like, it was crazy. Like, I'm still kind of getting a little misty eyed thinking about it here.
Woo.
I mean,
one of these interns bring you a tissue.
I know, right? I mean, it was a really awesome moment because there's so much emotion. You knew how hard he wanted to win that, how hard he's fought to get back to where he's at, and finally he's playing what we're accustomed to from Tiger Woods, and it's amazing.
I absolutely have to agree. And who knows? Maybe this will help him get back into the video game world a little, maybe. Who knows? Now that he's good again. I don't know. Well, I want to see how he follows this up, though, because Tiger Woods is still a great golfer and definitely proved it to be able to get his 5th green jacket. So, I definitely want to see what he has going forward. But at this point, though, hats off to you, Tiger Woods. It's great to see you back, putting another one on. And let's see maybe what more you have in the tank. But shifting gears a little bit, because we have other people that are trying to make a little bit of a run for championships. We're gonna switch over to the NBA. There's so much going on in the NBA. Been a lot of great action, but apparently there's something that I guess is kind of eating up at you.
Ooh, boy, man,
is eating it up not strong enough?
Oh, that is not strong enough of a word or a phrase for this. So obviously, what we're talking about is earlier this week, Magic Johnson stepped down as the president of basketball operations with the LA Lakers. This happened on Tuesday evening, right before their last game, mind you.
Right.
So what was really interesting and really weird and odd about this is he held a mini press conference. It was just outside the locker rooms. And it was just standing behind one of those little things. He wasn't even at like a press conference table. It was official setup. He held an impromptu press conference before the game to step down, and he rambled on for 45 minutes during this little impromptu presser. So one of the questions that was asked of him, he basically said, "You know what? I don't really like this. This isn't fun for me anymore. I'm just going to step down." And they asked him, "Okay, well, did you talk to obviously you've talked to your boss and that," because he had meetings with Jeannie Buss earlier in the week and with LeBron and their camp.
And Jeannie Buss even came out and gave her vote of confidence for Magic
to fire Luke Walton, which I'll get to in a second.
Oh yes,
but so he comes back with, "No," he said, and I quote, "No, I haven't. I couldn't. I could not stand to tell her." End quote. That's like if you were to walk up like. He was not enough of a man to even walk up to his boss, who he is friends with, and be like, "Hey, this is not working. Like, this is not really my thing. I want to step away," because he said she would convince him to stay. It's like he said in a few minutes before that he was dead set. He prayed on it. He's dead set. I don't want to do this anymore. And then he's like, "Oh no, she would convince me to do it."
How will that work?
So oh man, I'm trying not to blow a fuse here. So this
We need a fuse check on Craig.
fuse check over here. You got that sensor button ready? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do that to you. I like the platforms that we are currently able to air on, and I do not want to.
Yeah, and Google Play Music
that.
said that we were clean audio.
We're clean audio, so keep that in mind. But he said he wanted to be more of a basketball ambassador and didn't like to be fined for the constant, quote, tampering that he's been doing.
Right,
Because
right.
he likes to players reach out to him, and he likes to be a helper. He does a lot of things in the community, which is the plus side of him.
Well, he's a polarizing legend.
Yeah, he is. He's a polarizing figure, especially in the LA Lakers community.
Definitely.
And in their fandom. But I am not surprised he stepped away and quit. Didn't walk away, didn't step down. He quit, gave up on the Lakers.
Woo.
I'm not surprised.
Like a
This is
Batista
why.
wannabe.
This is why. He's been given these positions like this because of his fame, which he has earned.
He
To his
definitely has
credit, He's
earned.
earned.
Definitely has
Great
earned.
basketball player, a legend in every sense of the word
Absolutely.
on the court. And so he's been given it because of his fame and because of his, as a lot of people say, his quote, likable guy charm. So here's a couple of positions he's been given because of that likable guy charm and his fame. He was given a TV show in the 90s on NBC.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Irving Johnson Magic Hour, whatever it was
yeah.
called.
Whatever happened to that show?
11 episodes. He quit.
Oh.
And then in the 93-94 season, after they had a couple of coaches come in, get fired, he was the interim coach for the LA Lakers for 16 games.
Oh, and he did pretty good after that for 16 games. What happened?
He went 5-11 and quit
Oh.
because he quit these positions because he's underestimated the amount of time that had to be committed and because he said it was too hard. There's too much work I got to put into. I don't know. I can't do all this. He freaking quit because it was too hard. What do you expect?
Takes
You're
work.
in a top level executive position in an NBA franchise. How much work do you think you're going to do? You think you're just going to walk in and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to sit down and be an ambassador and this is going to be a lot of fun and sit there and be for my Lakers. Your phone is on 24/7, dude. Like, you have to be in there to do scouting. You have to meet with players. You have to meet with other people of your coaching staff and your executives. He was never in the freaking office.
No, he's probably out playing golf.
No, he was out complaining about how he couldn't tweet to people. And one of the other things of this is he didn't want to be the quote bad guy and fire Luke Walton because even though Jeannie Buss gave him the power to do so, and he didn't want to be the bad guy. He wanted to be the good. I want to be likable. I want to be the good guy.
Well, wait a
Give
minute.
me a freaking break, dude.
As president of basketball operations, aren't you supposed to be
It's
making
your
the
job
tough
to fire
decisions?
people.
Yeah, you got to make those tough decisions and do what's best for the franchise.
This was his quote from this, and I laughed so hard when I saw this. His quote was, I had more fun on the other side of this than on this side. Because tomorrow I would have to affect somebody's livelihood and their life. And I thought about that and said, that's not fun for me. That's not who I am, end quote.
Well, guess what? Life is not all
boo
fun and
freaking
flowers.
who? You know what? You know who? I'm more pissed off about this because the Lakers organization. Because not only did you give it to a guy who's not even close to being qualified for this job,
Definitely not.
you looked over the opportunity to give so many people who have worked their asses off years and years and years to have a chance at a job like this.
Definitely.
And what do? You give it to Magic freaking Johnson. Give me a break. Oh
man.
my God.
Well, we definitely know there's no love there. But as part of this, though, there definitely is going to be fallout when you have something like this happen. So what is the fallout from this whole situation?
Even more, if you didn't think that was comical enough, even more comical is GM Rob Pelinka, who apparently he's been reportedly despised across the league. Remember the whole Anthony Davis, how they were trying to trade for him?
Right.
Rob Pelinka's the one that's been making all these moves, but with the blessing of Jeannie Buss and Magic.
Of course.
So apparently part of the reason throughout this situation of why Magic had to get involved with the AD situation because people weren't answering the phone when Rob Pelinka called because they freaking hate him that much. They apparently hate him so much that they will not answer his calls. So and again, he's in this role because of who he was before he got there. He was hired in February 2017. His fame, he was Kobe's agent. He's also not qualified. Jeannie Buss, what the hell are you doing?
Does Jeannie Buss know basketball?
Clearly not.
Clearly not.
Her family did.
Her family. But as we know in all things, being there by association doesn't mean you know anything that you're doing.
Yeah, no crap. Jesus. So but Rob Pelinka has made some interesting moves.
To say the least.
A couple of notable ones. He actually made a decent move. This was 2017 for the draft night.
Right.
They traded D'Angelo Russell and Mozgov for Brook Lopez and the number 27 pick that year.
Yeah.
Which ended up being Kyle Kuzma. It was a great pick.
Yeah, definitely a great pick.
But they traded away D'Angelo Russell because they didn't think he was mature enough. He had struggled real mightily in this first year.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Then they ended up getting Lonzo Ball, which ended up working out decently well. But they also made that move because they wanted to get rid of Mozgov's terrible contract.
Yeah.
So that was a good move. But then this year, he traded Ivica Zubac for Mike Muscala, basically traded him across the hall to the Clippers.
Yeah.
For a guy who is a promising young big man who had a career year already, but they get rid of him for Mike Muscala, who's an end of the bench guy in the NBA now. Not going to do anything for you.
Definitely
and
not.
then he traded one of their young sharpshooters, one of your favorite guys from the quiz, Svi Mikhailuk.
Oh, Mikhailuk.
They traded him for Reggie Bullock, where Reggie Bullock, that was with the Pistons, and Reggie Bullock is a veteran knockdown jump shooter, which that one kind of made some sense because if you're trying to win now for LeBron, surround him with shooters, it makes sense.
Definitely.
But you're sacrificing your future, you're hemorrhaging that for now. So now, Rob Pelinka is probably going to get his role increased. That's what the reports are saying that I've read. But they also have turned around and they are let go of Luke Walton, which they, quote, mutually parted ways on Friday.
Just to make it sound good.
Yeah. So that was a move. So now they got to find a head coach and they got to find a president of basketball operations. Didn't take Luke Walton long.
Nah, 24-hour turnaround if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Saturday got offered and accepted a head coaching job for the Kings. I love that move, personally.
I think it'll be a good move for him.
So they hired Luke Walton at L.A. because they know it was going to be a turnaround. In 2016, that year, they won 26 games. Then the next year, 35. This past year, 37. So a slight increase. But they brought him on to help build a young core, and everything changed when LeBron signed.
Of course it did.
Everything. But people were asking, like, the big thing that Magic did was he recruited LeBron to come to L.A.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he did that much work because LeBron wanted to go to L.A. anyway.
Well, yeah, LeBron wanted to be in a big market no matter what.
For his business ventures and all that.
Exactly. So it made sense to either go to L.A. or go to New York. At L.A., honestly.
He wasn't going to play for Dolan.
No, he wasn't going to go play for Dolan.
Nobody wants to play for that guy.
No, no one does. So he thought he'd be in a better situation by going to L.A.
Yeah, so, I mean, don't give Magic credit. Yeah, he had to sit in on the meeting and talk to him.
Well, yeah, but that's about all he did.
LeBron was going to go anyway.
Yeah, he already had his mind made up to go to L.A. because he likes being in that L.A. lifestyle. He likes to be out there among the glitz and the glam and all the crazy money and stuff that is L.A. and try and be a part of that lifestyle and be able to grow his brand. Which, I don't know how his brand, grows very well against the Big Baller brand, but, they somehow coexist, and now Lonzo is suing Big Baller brand. But,
yeah,
that's a story for another time.
Actually, Lonzo just signed with CAA last week, too. That's a big move.
That is a really big move.
That's a big move. CAA is a huge agency.
Yes.
But anyway, so LeBron's camp. So LeBron obviously didn't respect Luke Walton for whatever reason. I don't know why. He was an ex-player himself, so it didn't make sense. He never came out and said he wanted another coach, but supposedly LeBron's camp openly said they wanted him gone. doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
No, it really doesn't when looking at it. And then again, you never want to end up in a situation where you have a player against your coach. Coach is kind of sitting here like, what's up? And you already had enough turmoil going on with all the distractions from the big baller brand and Lonzo Ball and, of course, his father, LeVar Ball. So,
yeah, but I mean, so they openly wanted him gone. Didn't say anything. He didn't say anything publicly, but that's been the rumors. Like, he just didn't want him there. But now for Luke Walton, this is the best thing that could have happened to him. He gets out from under that shadow that is LeBron James, player / coach / GM, which they might as well just go ahead and give.
They might as well make him the head coach.
They might as well just make LeBron the head coach, the player coach, like they did with Bill Russell back in the 60s. Just go ahead and do it. Because that's what he's going to do anyway.
Yeah.
But for Luke Walton, great move to go to Sacramento. He got a 4-year deal, which mirrors Vlade Divac's extension that he just got. The Kings this year finished 9th in the West. They had 39. They were 39 and 43. That's their best record since 2005 when they made the playoffs and lost in the first round.
So keep in mind then with that, what kind of upward momentum they could get from something like this. Because Luke Walton, like I said, I think he's a great coach. It's just you ended up in an extremely crappy situation because of whatever the Lakers is right now.
Yeah, and the Lakers, oh my God, that is like, they're on like Cleveland Brown before Dorsey. Cleveland Brown levels of dumpster fire.
Yes, I would have to agree. And what's sad is that a lot of people would argue that it's a dumpster fire with one of the best players still playing right now.
Yeah. One of the best, still arguably one of the best players in the world at basketball is on that team, and they are a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Even one of those best players cannot save your franchise enough to do anything.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw my name out here because if this gets out to Jeannie Buss or anybody, just, hey, I'm great at my franchise in 2K is amazing. I can take any team and turn them around. So please give me a phone call. I guarantee you I will put in more work than Magic did.
Oh my gosh. You heard it here first. Definitely endorsed by Final Score because I think you definitely could do a better job than Magic Johnson can. So Final Score fully endorses you.
Fully endorsed.
And fully endorses this message.
I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Hey, if you can make it happen in 2K, you can make it happen anywhere.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I do it. I mean, I do it every year. Just take the worst team and turn them around, make them a champion.
But realistically, though, looking at this situation, what options do the Lakers have at head coach?
So reportedly, there's 2 candidates that are out there. Ex-Cavs head coach Ty Lue, and then the 76ers top assistant Monty Williams. I honestly don't think this is much of a race between the two. Mm-hmm. LeBron's worked with Ty Lue. Ty Lue is an ex-Laker. He won titles with the three-peat they had with Kobe and Shaq.
Right.
He won some titles on those teams. I think this is a shoo-in for him that Ty Lue is going to take over as Lakers head coach. It's a guy that LeBron respects. He loved playing for him, or at least it's what he says publicly.
Right.
But I think this is not this. I don't think this is even a race between the two. So I think it's Ty Lue hands down. You'll probably see supposedly on Monday or so they're going to be meeting with him officially. Mm-hmm. I think by the end of the week this is a done deal.
I definitely would have to agree, and it definitely makes sense if you want to try and keep LeBron happy and try and get an offense that's going to really work. Because the one thing I feel like the Lakers have been lacking is real scoring, just because they've been all over the damn place. And when you have no organization within your own offense, how do you expect to do anything? So hopefully we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean the Lakers are not set up to be centered around LeBron. LeBron needs a bunch of shooters.
Yes,
they have Lonzo Ball, trash shooter. He's not great. If by NBA standards, Caldwell Pope, streaky 3-point shooter. Ingram is I wouldn't straight out call him a bust, but I don't see the hype.
I'm say he's not doing himself any favors.
He's not doing himself any favors. They got rid of Julius Randle, which was stupid.
Yeah, that was very stupid.
But I mean, we'll have to see. This is a big offseason for the Lakers. You got to find a president of ops. You got to find a head coach, and you've got to recruit another free agent, a big-time free agent to come play for you.
Yes.
Or swing an Anthony Davis trade with the Pelicans. David Griffin just took that job, who was the ex-GM at Cleveland. just took that job. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe LeBron talks to him and is like, hey,
Try to pull something off.
So it'll be interesting.
Most definitely will, and we'll see what happens with that. But in other NBA news, we had some goodbyes, some final moments,
some sad goodbyes.
Some sad goodbyes for not one but two icons of the NBA for the past, I guess you would say, 20 years or so. But that would be, first off, would be Dwayne Wade. Played his final game, posted a triple-double in that game, so he actually played pretty good. And the last shot he took, I'll always remember, just because he came up, it was a long three, and he just drains it. And just goes off Dwayne Wade style, running around, and it just made me look back to all the years past. Now I've always been an Orlando fan. You know, the Miami Heat's probably one of our biggest rivals, if not the biggest. And no matter what disambiguation of the Heat came to play the Magic, I always had great respect for Dwayne Wade. Phenomenal player, phenomenal human, and he's done so many great things on and off the court, and has always been a huge contributor to his community. And it's really sad to see him finally hang up the jersey. But there was a few people in attendance, though.
Yeah, the Banana Boat crew.
You had LeBron there. You had Melo there. Chris Paul was even there. So it's definitely a real nice way to send Dwayne Wade out. Arguably probably one of the best that we've had in a long time, really. Yeah,
it was a great send off. The night, the game was played in Brooklyn, but I mean, in that respect, Miami Heat were eliminated from the playoffs. You couldn't have asked for a better send-off for him. You don't want to see him struggle and get into the 8th seed and play against Milwaukee and get swept in 4 games in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a bad way for him to go out.
Yeah, that's not the kind of send-off you want for guys like these. But I think Dwayne, he's a surefire Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was a great send-off. Yeah, triple-double. The last few years we've had people in their last games. Kobe, 3 years ago, he had a
like
huge
50.
game. He's 63.
63, there it is.
He had 63.
Yeah, and he was killing it. Absolutely killing it.
He also put up like 50 shots.
Yeah. When you take that many shots, then you're kind of expected to have a large margin of points. So
yeah, but it was a great send-off for him. Same thing with Dirk Nowitzki. He played his final game for Dallas and played it actually in San Antonio, which if you weren't going to have a final home game for him in Dallas, San Antonio was the next best place to do it.
Yes, and they did a huge send-off for him there, too, in San Antonio.
He actually didn't even inform anybody until, the game was basically over. It was like, hey, by the way, this is my last game. Because he's not all about that.
No, he doesn't like that kind of attention.
He's not like the Paul Pierces or even to an extent the Dwayne Wade. He's like, hey, I'm going to retire after this year. He was just kind of like, yeah, I'm just done. I know my time's
and that was the thing with Dwayne Wade. He was kind of like, not outright, but was kind of on this retirement tour and was swapping jerseys with a lot of notable players, including Dirk Nowitzki. So, Dwayne Wade, is very, very known. With Dirk, though, like you said, he's so more reserved. He's so much more quiet mannered. He doesn't like that kind of attention on himself. He just shows up, does what he needs to do, and then he calls it a good day.
Yeah, he had a great send-off as well. He had a double-double, 20 points, 10 boards. Again, another surefire Hall of Famer.
Definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised if I would actually be surprised if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think both of these guys probably will be.
Oh, yes.
Dirk definitely will be a first ballot Hall of Famer because he's an international player and because of the impact he's had around the globe, not only just here in the U.S. for the Dallas community. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they're both first ballot Hall of Famers.
Absolutely. I definitely have to agree with that. And, what we've seen in NBA as a whole has been really great. They've made a lot of progress across the board from the play, for what they do with fan interaction, what they do with community outreach. And it's been really great. So looking at this, who do you think really is responsible for a lot of these big things that the NBA has done recently?
I think it's Adam Silver, commissioner. He's, in my opinion, I think he's the best commissioner of all North American sports. He's got the best finger on the pulse of what, even though the players are kind of upset supposedly over the last year because of refereeing and games, and now they're being basically fined if they're sitting out games that they're not actually hurt. But I think he's still the best commissioner of all North American sports.
Absolutely. I'd have to agree. And Adam Silver always tries to stay ahead of the curve and also tries to do and work with the players on getting these initiatives going, on getting things better. He doesn't try to just rule with an iron fist like we know in some other football leagues. But at the end of the day, he tries to work with players and do what's best, not only for the sport, but for the league. And that's something you really don't see in any other sports league.
Yeah, really not. And they're actually talking about doing some other big changes, potentially. They had a press conference on Friday, and Adam Silver, that is, commissioner, was just kind of openly just discussing, thinking out loud of ways that they can improve the NBA product. Mm-hmm. None of this is actually proposed, but I thought a few things were interesting based out of that. They're talking about how the NBA season is a long season. 82 games is a long season. So they're trying to find ways to keep it more exciting because, as you would expect, ratings are good to start a season. They dip down in the middle. They rise back up for the All-Star weekend. Right. They dip down a little bit and then rise to huge levels for the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So one of the ways that the league office might be considering to improve ratings during the season is to potentially do what's international soccer kind of does, which they do mid-season tournaments. Where it's like kind of minor league baseball does this a little bit too, like a first half champion, second half champion, those two meet kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But they want to find ways to help improve ratings during the season while still keeping players somewhat fresh. They've talked about potentially shortening games from 48 minutes down to 40, like the college game. Just flat out shorten the NBA season by 2 weeks, which is what a lot of people have proposed over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I just don't see that one happening, though. I feel like
that one won't.
Yeah, with the amount of games, it's pretty solidified, especially now that you've had so many marks happen with records for wins and things like that. I don't see anybody really wanting to break that up. So that I don't see happening. But it would be interesting seeing like an international soccer approach where, you might play the first half of the season, maybe do some international tournaments or an international friendlies, and really with helping promote the game of basketball and then coming back for a second season or for a second part of the season, I should say. So with an approach like that, it could be really good, especially seeing how the sport of basketball itself, while homegrown here in the United States, has become such a huge international product.
Yeah, they really need to find a way to continue to involve the international community because, like you said, the international community for basketball, like basketball is a global sport. I mean, since its introduction to the world stage, and like the 92 Dream Team is where everyone kind of attributes to the initial growth of the game globally.
Absolutely.
But I mean, of course, Adam Silver, he's kind of a traditionalist. That we've been doing it for the last 50 years or so. They don't want to mess with that. But he even admits there's nothing magical about an 82-game season. It's a grind.
It really is.
So they're trying to look maybe at, he wants to paint a picture of like the FA Cup or the Copa del Rey, but do it for basketball, which I think these tournaments could be woven into the league schedules.
Definitely could be.
So that way you could still play technically 82 games, but do like a mid-season tournament where it's like players get to take like right around Christmas, take time on not Christmas, but like January, February.
Yeah, take like a week or two and go do some type of international tournament.
Move your All-Star weekend up to like, no, you can't do that because of football.
Well, why not even take it to
do it in February? Do it in like, well, they already do it in February.
Well, all I'm saying is that you could even go a whole nother level with this. Take your All-Star game, take it on the road internationally. Turn the All-Star game into a tournament.
That'd be kind of cool.
It'd definitely be something interesting to do against other countries where you might have, say, you have the friendly, but now you have like the NBA All-Stars versus, say, the Chinese All-Stars. Something like that where you can start doing like these little tourneys or these little one-off games to try and bring a little bit more attention to the NBA at mid-season. Yeah,
they kind of do that already. They do that preseason. They play games in China, and they'll play just NBA versus NBA teams. It would be, I can't imagine they would do it against other countries' teams though, because of NBA, the NBA Players Union, Players Association. True. You don't want players to get hurt or anything like that if they don't need to. So I could see things though where they do the tournaments in the middle of a season where you have that first half, second half, and I think that would be really intriguing.
Could be. Yeah.
We'll see because they obviously have to go through the what's the word I'm looking for?
Players Association?
The CBA.
Yeah,
they have
through
to go
their bargaining agreement.
They have to go through the bargaining agreement, the Players Association, before any of this stuff is possibly even changed. So it's a good idea. I mean, it's a good way to help spice it up and bring more attention to the NBA product rather than just beginning of the season, All-Star Weekend, playoffs.
Yeah, you want to add a little bit more because the thing is, while it might have worked really well for audiences maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, we don't have the same type of audience these days, especially now with the technological advancements we've made in communication technology. You're going to have to grow with the times and try and find ways to keep fans more interested in your overall product. So definitely very interesting. I definitely want to see what Adam Silver will pull out of his hat next because it seems like he's always trying to find a way to be one step ahead and bring the best product that he can to the court. But speaking of bringing products to the court, we do have things going on court right now, and that would be the NBA playoffs. And I tell you what, it's already been a super exciting round of games that we've already been able to experience, and it made me so happy in so many ways. And even though I kind of had to eat my words a little, but it's fine. It'll work out.
Yesterday was some great. This whole weekend has been great sports. Like between all the basketball matchups we had, the hockey matchups we had, this was such a great weekend. I was telling you earlier today, all I did yesterday on Saturday was sit on the couch, have my multiple TVs set up for multiple different games, watching hockey, basketball, Masters, baseball, all this stuff set up. It was such a great weekend. But the NBA playoffs have not disappointed this far in the first round. No,
they really have not. In the big game that I'm going to talk about first because it means the most to me, and that's the Toronto Raptors versus the Orlando Magic, our 2-7 matchup. And it was one heck of a game. I sadly only got to see half of it because, hashtag parent life takes over sometimes.
Ooh, man, you missed a hell of a game.
I know, but I got the second half, and that second half was a doozy, back and forth, one right after the other, crazy shots all the way around the board, and it was just really great to see the Orlando Magic go out and take this one. 104-101 to take a 1-0 lead against the Toronto Raptors on a day that saw not one, not two, but 3 road teams win the first game in their playoff series.
Yeah, this was crazy to watch because so many road teams. You would imagine a lot of road teams usually win in game 2.
Usually.
But in NBA you see a lot of these really good matchups, and that's the one thing I love about the playoffs is that it doesn't matter what your regular season record is. Once you get in the playoffs, it's 0-0. It's a clean slate.
Oh, yeah. And the Orlando Magic have been one of the hottest teams going into playoffs, having won 10 of their last 12 to end the season, and now start the playoffs with this big win on the road against Toronto, who I picked to not only go all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, but win the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. So it's really crazy to see my Orlando Magic at 42-40 making some noise in the playoffs.
I may have already mentioned this to you last week.
You might have.
Toronto's beatable.
They are beatable.
And that's why I didn't have them in the finals. They're beatable. That's why I have them not even making the Eastern Conference Finals. But it's this is going to be a long series.
Yeah, it is.
This is definitely going to go. I think when we were talking about this last week in our prediction show, we did, I think it was like 6 games roughly. So there's still a lot of time. Toronto can get it right the ship, if you will.
Right.
But Toronto and their playoff futility strike again.
Oh yeah.
Kyle Lowry, 0 points, 0 for 7 from the field, and 0 for 6 from 3. I think ESPN showed a stat yesterday that he was the first All-Star in the playoffs to be scoreless in a game in like 20 years.
Oh, yes.
Or like 10 years or something like that.
I know,
it's crazy.
And it's crazy when you're looking at how everybody did even for them. The biggest scorers for the Raptors obviously were going to be Pascal Siakam and Kawhi Leonard.
Pascal who?
Siakam? See? Even after the name quiz, I still don't get them right.
Siakam.
Either way, though.
Pascal Siakam, he's Man, he's a great young player for them. He is.
Oh, he is. And he accounted for 24 of their points. And he played more than anybody else. He was on the court for 42 minutes, which is...
he had to be.
He had to be, but he only shot 50%, missed every three-pointer he took, didn't even make it to the free throw line, but he was trying to play out of his mind and do what he could to help his team win because the Magic came ready to play and were draining everything.
Yeah, they hit almost 50% of their shots from three. They went 14 of 29. They hit 14 3-pointers in an NBA game.
I know, that's insane.
That's a lot. DJ Augustine, dude,
talk about
killed it. Not only from the shot that won them the game.
Yeah, so it was a long three, by the way.
He only played 29 minutes. He had 25 points.
I know.
That is efficient.
That is very efficient.
But, I mean, all 5 starters were in double figures, and 7 players in total were in double figures. So 2 of their players, even off the bench, were in double figures. That is the kind of play that Orlando's going to need consistently over this series to have a shot.
But another big thing I think that really helps them, free throw shooting. They shot at 90% in this game, which free throws can make or break a game at any point in any series.
Yeah, just talk to Philadelphia about that one.
Yeah, right? So it can definitely come back to bite you because also, look at Toronto. You know what they shot for free throws? Just 64%.
Yeah,
so that just goes to
make
show.
your free throws.
Oh, you definitely got to make your free throws. And I remember guys back in the day who played basketball who had to make so many free throws before they were even allowed to leave practice. I bet you what? I bet you this Toronto Raptors head coach is going to be making these guys shoot free throws before game 2.
Yeah, they have a chance, man. They really do. Monday night is game 2 in Toronto. I think Toronto evens up the series here, but I think it goes back and forth. I think it does go to 6 games, but it'll be a back and forth game. I think going into game 5, I think it'll be tied 2-2.
It very well could be, but the one thing I look at, no matter how you want to shake it out, the Magic have the momentum, and I feel like the Magic have the advantage. So as long as they can keep pushing what they're doing, getting their scores in position, playing good defense, boxing out well, and making their shots, Orlando, I think, could possibly take this. I know I have the Toronto officially in 6, but Orlando has a shot.
Oh yeah, of course we want to stick with our predictions, but whenever a hometown team has a chance, we're gonna root for them.
Well, Ben, if the Magic take this and ruin my entire Eastern Conference predictions, I will be riding that Magic train as hard as I can till the end.
Oh, I'll be right there with you. I'll be right there alongside you in that wagon. So.
Oh man, but another team that you had actually just mentioned a little bit ago, Philadelphia 76ers took on the Brooklyn Nets in a 3-6 matchup for their first game, and some predicted this, some didn't. Just depends upon who you are. But Brooklyn ended up taking this one 111-102 to take the series lead 1-0.
Yeah, all the pressure in this series is on Philadelphia to win because they are. As my prediction, I had them getting into the NBA Finals along with Jalen Rose, who also predicted that, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But Philadelphia, all the pressure's on them. They have the makeup. They have guys that are in their. They have Tobias Harris is going to have expiring deal. Jimmy Butler's going to have expiring deal. They need to make a run this year. This is part of their window. But they did not play well. They struggled. They played really well in the first 4 minutes of the game. They sent Joel Embiid was a game time decision. He's got a bum left knee. He only played in a handful of games since the All-Star break. But he started well, and then he's not conditioned, so he couldn't get up and down the floor. So he started just sitting there settling for 3-pointers, and he just started jacking. He had a stretch in, I think it was the second quarter. They left him wide open for 3 because he's a 30%. He's like a roughly 30% 3-point shooter. You're going to leave him open.
Oh yeah.
So he missed a 3, got his own rebound, shot it again, got a rebound. They kicked it back to him. He shot it again, missed all 3.
That's
it's
horrible.
Like, dude, stop shooting 3-pointers. But I mean, he only played in 24 minutes. He scored 22 points and had 15 rebounds, but 12 of those points came from the free throw line. He got there 18 times. They don't have an answer for him. Brooklyn has no answer for Joel Embiid, and the post game of the Sixers.
But the thing that kills me is that when you still look at the rest of the whole of the 76ers, they are the kings of squandering opportunities. And that's what they showed in this game, is that they were really dominating in a lot of different areas and still gave this game away. And that's the thing I look at, is that when you look at rebounds, they rebounded better. They had more assists. They had way more blocks and were able to knock down shots. They were able to get more points off turnovers. They were able to get more turnover. It just doesn't make sense that the way they were able to play, they literally, when looking at it, were playing catch up the whole game. It ended up in a 9-point hole coming out of the first quarter and just had to slowly try and work their way back in and just couldn't.
Yeah, they squandered opportunities from the free throw line. They went 29 of 42. They had 42 attempts from the free throw line, and they only converted 29. They shot 3 of 25 from 3, which is
12%.
awful. Yes, 12%. So these two teams are differing styles.
Yes.
76ers are bigger. They're more suited to play a game through the post, through Joel Embiid and do flow their offense that way. The Nets are they're not big enough. They're too small. They're too skinny to compete with that, which is why you see the block numbers, the rebound numbers that you just listed off. That's why the disparity goes. The advantage is there for the Sixers. But what the Sixers struggle in, which is what we saw in this game, they struggle guarding people at the perimeter. They struggle so mightily. They have no answer for the guards of the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, combined between D'Angelo Russell, Karis LeVert, and Spencer Dinwiddie, they scored 67 points combined amongst the three of them.
Yeah, and that's huge when you have guys going off like that. Huge.
Yeah, D'Angelo Russell started struggling early in the first half. I think he went 2 of 10 in the first half, but he scored 19 points in the second half, most of them in the third quarter. Finished with 26. Karis LeVert and Dinwiddie, those two played lights out. And I want to highlight Karis LeVert a little bit because he scored 23 points, but he had that nasty, nasty leg injury.
Yes.
And it's good to see him come back and playing so well. And of course, it's an extra time for me to plug another Michigan alum.
Of course. Not you.
No, not me. Not like you would plug any Notre Dame players.
I don't know what you're talking about ever.
But no, those three players played so well. And I don't even think Philly lost this game. The Nets came out and just took it to them. They came out and won this game. And that's going to be a tough series for the Sixers. I think this is probably going to end up going, watching this first one, I think I predicted in 6 for the Sixers. They better be careful because if they don't get their act together, they could lose this series. Definitely. Very easily.
Very easily.
Very
That's one thing I
easily.
look at, is that with how the matchup could work out, this one literally could go all 7 games and literally is anybody's to lose. Both teams are going to have to bring their best to try and win out in this series. But switching gears a little bit to another series, Boston Celtics, Indiana Pacers, 4-5. Celtics take game 1, 84-74, but even with that score, I don't think it was that close.
No, the Celtics outscored the Pacers 26-8 in the third quarter. That's really where they pulled away, and they just took it to them, and they were aggressive on both ends of the floor. Kyrie Irving finished with 20 points, 6 of 6 from the line, but the plus minus is where a lot of, as far as all the analytics and everything, people look at the analytics nowadays and the numbers and how they are on the floor. They had 3 players with a plus minus of 15 or better. Morris had a plus 15. Kyrie Irving was plus 19. Al Horford was plus 20. So, I mean, those 3 guys played so well, and they played well just as a team. They really forced Indiana into some tough shots. They only went 6 of 27 from 3. So, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do, and they forced 13 turnovers in this game. So, I mean, Indiana still play solid defense, but there's just times where they just kind of disappear. And, I mean, they only had 2 guys in double digits, Corey Joseph and Bogdanovich.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't think this is going to be a whole 6 or 7 game series.
No.
I think Boston can end up taking this in 5 or 6, but Indiana's really got a lot of work to do. They got their work cut out for them. I think they go down 0-2 before going back home. They'll probably win one of those games at home. But it's going to be a tough series for Indiana if they play the same way they played today.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I look at too. Like with the Indiana Pacers, their field goal percentage was absolutely dismal as a team. They were shooting 33%, absolute crap. They were 22% from 3-point range, and they only converted 57% of their free throws. They just did not look there. Boston came and outclassed them, but I mentioned this earlier before we went on air, and I still feel this could play is the reason why this is going to turn out the way it will, is there is no Oladipo. Without Oladipo, who was honestly a very nice, refreshing shooting option for them, they have lost the dynamic of their offense, I feel like.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of rallying around other guys since he's been hurt. But honestly, even with Oladipo, they have no shot in this series. I mean, Oladipo, yeah, he's going to get you. He's probably going to average, 20 to 25 points a game in the series, depending on how many games it would go. But even then, okay, what are you going to do if you're Boston? You're just going to focus your game plan on him, and you're going to make guys like Bogdanovich beat you, Darren Collison, Corey Joseph. You're going to make those guys try to beat you, and I don't think they could.
Yeah, you might be right. And even without Oladipo, though, which is how this is going to go, because Oladipo's out for the season, they're going to have to rely on guys like Bogdanovich to be able to try and come through for them, and I don't think it's going to happen.
No, definitely not. This is just a bad matchup for Indiana.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a tough matchup for them, but, I mean, that's kind of how it played out, and they really have a lot of work to do for Game 2 in Boston.
Oh, they definitely do.
What is it, 2 days? Tuesday.
It'll be on Game 2 will be Tuesday in Boston, so we'll definitely be able to see how that one shakes out and see how this series will go from there. But there is one more game in the East that has not happened yet. Milwaukee Bucks, Detroit Pistons. We'll be getting that one later tonight. By the time you hear this recording, though, the game will either be underway or already over, so we'll definitely bring you more coverage on that on our next episode next week. But now we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch over to
I'll give you a prediction.
Uh-oh.
Milwaukee wins by like 12.
Oh, you're being nice. I was going to say Milwaukee was going to win by 24, but that's just me, I guess.
Yeah, Milwaukee's going to win by
Giannis with 32 points. Saying now. I don't know why.
Sound like a good 32?
Yeah, that's 32. Just 32. Everybody else is going to count.
Giannis goes for 40.
I think he's going to be a nice guy because Giannis, he has a very likable face. So, I think he's going to dish it out a little more.
Giannis goes for 40, I bet.
But switching gears over to the Western Conference, looking at right at the top, Golden State versus the LA Clippers, the 1-8 matchup. Golden State took the first game pretty handedly, I would say, 121-104, and now we get the Game 2 on Monday. What are your thoughts on this series so far?
Man, this game is chippy.
Yeah, it is.
Game 1 was chippy. These two teams do not like each other.
No, they do not.
And it's great television. So it all culminated in Pat Beverly, who is a 6'2" guard, mind you, 6'3", whatever, and Kevin Durant, who's 6'10" wing. These two guys were going after each other all game because Pat Beverly is the kind of guy when he plays defense, he's the guy you love to have on your team, but you hate to play against him because all he does is he talks and he gets under your skin and he plays defense such a physical manner that he gets in your head.
He really does.
So these two ended up getting tossed in the third. I think it was third quarter or something like that.
I think it was the third quarter. Yes.
They got tossed because they each got 2 techs. And it was actually a great back and forth between the two for that stretch right before they got tossed. But it's not going to mean so much for Pat Beverly because the Clippers they're not getting far in the playoffs. They're losing this series.
Oh, absolutely.
They might even get swept if they're not careful.
Yes.
But Kevin Durant got to be careful because in the postseason, if once you hit your 7th technical, you're automatically suspended for a game.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got 2. So you got 2 in the first game of this series.
Yeah, that's not good.
You better be careful, because if you win this series, most likely you're going to play Houston in round 2.
Ooh, talk about chippy.
You need Kevin Durant for that series.
You need him for every single moment you can have him on the court.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that Houston ended up getting the 4 and not 2 or 3, because I really wanted to see a Golden State Houston Western Conference final.
Oh, yes.
And now we're going to be robbed of that.
But either way, it's still going to be really good. But looking at this, Golden State's outclassing LA all the way from top to bottom. Looking at these team stats, it's really Golden State. Golden State is shooting better in the paint. They're shooting better from the 3, shooting better at the free throw line. They're just better. They're just better. They're out rebounding them, more assists. They're able to move the ball around better. They're getting better blocks. They're just winning at every phase of the game.
They're just a flat out better team. And in this game, Steph Curry went off.
Yes, he did. 8 threes.
38 points. Yeah, 8 of them. In the process of getting 38 points and hitting 8 threes, he actually passed Ray Allen for the most 3-point field goals in playoff history with 386.
Woo!
He did it in almost half as many games.
And that shows the talent.
He did. I think it was 97 games.
97.
I don't remember what Ray Allen's was, but his was like in the 160s.
It was like 160, 170s, right?
Somewhere in that. So yeah. I mean, it was, man.
It was something.
There was a one play I remember distinctly, and that they obviously are replaying it everywhere. But he basically went heat check. He dribbled just past half court, pulled up from almost a logo, and could have gotten a foul called. Drains a 3-pointer with one guy in his face and one guy on his hip, and just drains a 3. Like only Steph Curry would get that kind of a green light.
Man,
he is hands down the best shooter we've ever seen in the NBA, in the history of the NBA.
So do you remember growing up how everybody would always shoot things and say Kobe? I tell you now, it's going to get replaced by Curry.
It's been getting replaced by Curry. Kids nowadays, that's why when we talk about how the game of basketball has been, some people say eroded, because now it's all about 3-pointers and people doing ISOs and pull up threes.
Oh, yeah, trying to be all flashy.
You can you can blame Curry and Harden and players like that for that kind of stuff, because kids see Curry from when he first came in the league. Even at Davidson, that's what he was doing. And I mean, he's the best at it. He's the best there ever will be at it. And I mean, he's a transcendent player in that realm. I mean,
absolutely
what we're watching. We're seriously watching.
We're seeing history.
We're watching the greatest shooter in NBA history right now.
Man, if only Orlando could get something like that. No, it's okay. We would just end up thinking he's too good and just try and trade him away. So, looking down the rest of this list, though, we know Game 2 for Golden State and Clippers. That's going to be on Monday at Golden State. So that's definitely going to be an interesting one, which I think Golden State will probably blow them out again. But looking further down the list, we have a 4-5 matchup between the Houston Rockets and the Utah Jazz. Game 1 will be tonight at 9:30. So definitely make sure that you check out that one. Definitely Houston Rockets, I think, are going to take that. Yep. I think they are probably one of the strongest number 4s in recent history in my eyes. But we'll see how that all works out. But looking even further down the list, we also have another game that's going on right now.
We're watching it right now.
Yeah, right now. The 3-6 matchup in the West of the Portland Trail Blazers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Portland is currently leading this one 89-81 with about 6.5 left in the game. So by the time you hear this recording, this game will be final, if not before we're even done recording ourselves. So hopefully we'll be able to bring you that update. Portland just went up 91-81 to take a 10-point lead. So definitely an interesting game here. It's been a little chippy as well. They're trying to block any and everything they can.
Yeah, these two teams definitely. There's no love lost between these two teams, but I just kind of have a feeling this game is going to go down to the wire. This whole series is probably going to go down to about 7 games.
Right.
Basically, the big matchups you're looking at: Westbrook versus Lillard, George versus McCollum, Steven Adams versus Enes Kanter. There's a lot of big matchups in this series. Already, currently, 4 players in this game are over 20 points. Westbrook and George each have 20. McCollum and Lillard. McCollum's got 24, Lillard 21.
Yeah, they're going
Lots
off
of-
in this game, and
Lots of
there's still,
scoring in this one.
Yeah, there's still going to be more scoring. I fully expect this one to be over 100 per team. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And it's been chippy. Westbrook, I know, has been having a little bit of trouble driving the paint and getting the ball to the basket. And they've just been overall chippy with each other. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one will shake all the way out.
Yeah,
but hopefully
this is going to be one of the better series of the playoffs.
Definitely. And we'll definitely try and bring you an update as soon as we can once this game goes final, if it goes final while we're still airing. However, we have one more to look at, and that's our 2-7 matchup of the Denver Nuggets versus San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio, surprised, I feel like everybody, took game one, 101-96.
Not everybody.
Well, to me, it's a shocking upset, but maybe to some it's not. But still, San Antonio takes this one and takes the lead 1-0.
Playoff experience. That's what won this game.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of guys on San Antonio that have been guys like Patty Mills who have been to the finals and had that experience. And then on the other side, I mean, if you got Greg Popovich on your bench,
yeah, that's all you really need to say.
That's really all you need. I mean, but with this win actually last night, he became the winningest head coach in NBA history with 1,413 total wins, passing Lenny Wilkens. For the most all time. That's quite an accomplishment.
That is quite the accomplishment. And given the amount of time he's been able to do that, and he really knocked it out. And it's crazy is that he did this mainly all with San Antonio.
All with San Antonio.
But, he also got kind of lucky having guys like, Tim Duncan and, Ginobili and whatnot. So
well, it's not necessarily lucky because Ginobili was a second round pick. Tony Parker was a second round pick.
Yes, Tony Parker. That was the third one I was thinking.
Yep,
of.
Tony Parker was a second round pick. Tim Duncan was a high draft pick, but I mean, even then, you brought him in. You had him and David Robinson for a couple years, and they won that title in '99, I believe it was. But I mean,
came right in.
But I mean, yeah, they've had a really good run over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, they really have, and no matter who they had over there on the court, you still have good old Pop on the side. So with great coaching, you're going to be able to have players of all different talent levels be able to play beyond what their abilities normally would allow them.
Yeah, what really won the game for the Spurs here, DeMar DeRozan had a double-double, 18 points, 12 boards. They were hitting a lot of the mid-range jumpers that most players don't shoot nowadays. It's either dunks or in the paint or you're at the three-point line.
Yeah.
They did a lot of that, but the player of the game, in my opinion, was Derek White. So Derek White is a little-known player. He played at Colorado, kind of worked his way up through the college ranks. He played, I think, at an NAIA school, then went to D2, then went to D1. He played in 27 minutes this game, 16 points, 5 assists, 7 of 10 from the field, and he had 1 steal. But that 1 steal sealed the game with 6.9 to go as the Nuggets and Jamal Murray were trying to bring it up the court. He stripped him, got a foul, sank 2 free throws, game over.
See, and that's awesome given how he played throughout the season because he only averaged about 10 points throughout the season, which, isn't great, but it isn't bad either.
But he's
being
also
a nice contributor.
Yeah, I know, and you're looking at the stats at that, but think about this. How many rookies or second-year players post huge numbers? Not many. He was not even expected to be much more of a minor role player until DeJounte Murray went down with an injury in the preseason. So he's only averaging about 25 minutes a game this year to post those numbers that you said. But what I'm looking at when you're talking about his numbers, throughout the season, he shot almost 50% from the field. That in only 25 minutes, that shows you his shot IQ. He is good, taking good shots. And he's not squandering his opportunities. That's a Popovich guy right there.
That is a Popovich guy. And that was what I was going to try and mention, is that he is a guy who I think could end up being a larger role player for the San Antonio team as soon as these playoffs. Just because now that you show this guy can go out here, be smart with the ball, be able to make smart moves as needed, like you mentioned with the steal, and be able to be a good contributor, he's a guy who could be possibly, especially under Popovich, a game changer for you.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the next wave of players that overperforms for Popovich and just he gets the best out of the players that he has, and it's really going to be sad to see when Popovich does in fact ever retire.
Oh yes.
But they played a great game. They held the Nuggets to 6 of 28 from three. So that's 21%.
Right.
They did have all 5 starters in double digits, and Nikola Jokic had a triple double.
Mm-hmm.
He's I thought I saw he's the first player in like 10 or 15 years or something. Since 2006 to have a triple double in his playoff debut. The last person to do it, LeBron James.
Hey. Look how that works out.
So I think this is going to be another really good matchup. It's going to go 6 games, maybe even 7. But I think Denver's inexperience, they have a lot of talent, but their inexperience might be their downfall here. And again, records go thrown out the window once you get in the playoffs. It's all about matchups and who can win a 7-game series.
Yeah, you're very right. And Denver's been very new lately to this winning thing. So we'll definitely see how it works out, but I think it'll definitely be a wonderful series. Definitely just got to keep watching. Game 2 will be Monday in Denver, so definitely make sure you catch that. But, man, these NBA playoffs sure are something. But what was those other playoffs? What were they?
There was more basketball there, wasn't there?
There was.
Well, I think we missed it. It happened like right after we aired the show.
Yeah, and I think what was it called? Oh, yeah, the NCAA tournament. We got down to our Final Four, and then our Final 2 had our championship game between Virginia and Texas Tech, which me and Craig had both picked Texas Tech, but
wah, wah.
It happens. Going from out in the first round to the NCAA tournament champs the next year, the Virginia Cavaliers go out and win in overtime, 85-77, to take home their very first NCAA men's basketball championship.
Yeah, they were the first team to win their first championship since the Florida Gators did it in 2006. And the second team, this is a crazy stat that I saw. They're only the second team to win the championship without facing a 1 or a 2 seed the whole tournament.
Wow.
The 1990 UNLV Running Rebels were the last team to do it. But this game, for all the defense that we talked about, how it's going to be a low-scoring game, take the under, all this, I love how the opposite effect always happens.
Yes.
It's like when in the NFL, 2 of the top defensive teams play. What happens?
Offense goes off.
Offense lights up. This is exactly what happened. This was a great game all the way through. It went into overtime. First overtime game in the final since 2008 when Kansas beat the Derrick Rose-led Memphis Tigers.
Oh, man.
With John Calipari. Yeah.
Taking it back. Because that was 11 years. But this also was the first team to lead the D1 in scoring defense since 1958, 1959 Cal
Bears.
Woo, we threw it back.
Yeah, I know we threw that stat out last week, is that they were trying to become the first team to do it since then. But yeah, that's an amazing stat because of all the, usually those kinds of teams run very slow offenses and you run into a buzzsaw of a high-powered offense. Usually that offense wins out.
Usually, yeah.
But
not this time.
Not this time. Cavaliers, the Wahoos.
Woo.
Pull it out. But Texas Tech made this game close because they trailed by 10 in the second half. Mm-hmm. But their defense, for as highly touted as we talked it up.
Yeah, we talked it up big time.
Yeah, even though it was in overtime, they gave up a season high 85 points, gave up 11 threes, and 46% shooting from the field for the Cavaliers. That is very unlike the Red Raiders defense to give up that kind of game.
Especially seeing how Texas Tech played throughout this tournament, it was definitely a misstep for them to let up that kind of scoring outburst, really. So, hats off definitely to Virginia. We don't want to take anything away from Virginia.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And what they were able to accomplish this year, because honestly, so many people had written them off after they had that round 1 exit last year to a 16 seed, first time ever it ever happened.
The UMBC Terriers, Golden Terriers,
Terriers.
Oh, God, they will kill you on Twitter
They
if you
will
say that.
kill you.
So I follow their Twitter account, and people have mentioned that before, and they're like, it's the UMBC Golden Terriers. All right. Point made.
Point made. But at the end of the day, though, Virginia went out. DeAndre Hunter had a career high, 27 points, 7 boards. Kyle Guy went out. He had 24 points and was 4 of 9 on 3-pointers.
Yeah, he played great. I mean, they played the kind of game that you would expect. DeAndre Hunter's already going to be a top 10 pick.
Oh, absolutely.
He basically solidified that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He also had to be locking up Jarrett Culver, who's the top scorer for Texas Tech. Had to guard him all night. I mean, he played 44 minutes on the court and held Culver to 15 points, 5 of 22 shooting, and 0 of 6 from 3.
Huge.
He locked him up so tight. I mean, it's like trying to get out of Alcatraz. You ain't getting out of that.
No.
He had him on an island.
But this game was not without controversy, which I've been trying to push this button for such a long time through this tournament, and now it finally has come to fruition. Looking back, we had
blow up in your face, maybe.
Aha! Look at you. So there was a call overturned with 1:10 left in overtime from being a Texas Tech ball to a Virginia ball. What more can you tell us about that?
So basically, what was going on is Dominic Moretti, I believe his name is. Moretti was coming up the court. He had DeAndre Hunter and I believe Kyle Guy on his hip. Mm-hmm. Coming up on a fast break, he was going to pull the ball back to slow down to set up their offense. DeAndre Hunter pokes the ball out of his hand, and the call was Texas Tech ball. Because there was a minute left, roughly, they decided that they wanted to go look at it again just to make sure. They did, and they came back and overturned the call to go back to Virginia because in the process of Hunter poking the ball out, it actually grazed the tip of the pinky of Moretti before it went out of bounds. So the call was overturned. Now, you were talking last week about how for replay, they need to have more of it to get these calls right. And
yes.
for the double dribble, which was very well said.
Yes.
This is where too much can come into play. This to me was such a terrible call, even though it was technically correct. There is no way that a Division I basketball player 99 times out of 100 is going to come out and dribble the ball backwards and just lose the ball when his feet are not anywhere near the ball. There's no way a guy is going to just lose the ball out of bounds like that without anytime that play happens. A defender pokes the ball out of an offensive player's hands. That ball always goes back to the offense because the intent is there that the defender poked it away.
Yes.
But because of one little micro frame that showed it touching his pinky, that killed all the momentum Texas Tech had. That is how UVA won that game. When I looked at that tape and I saw that, as soon as I saw it happen, I was like, okay, Texas Tech gets the ball back. They can set up an offense. They overturn it. I almost turned over my table that's sitting over here next to us in the studio because I was like, this is such BS that this came down to that microsecond that it touched his hand, killed all the momentum that Texas Tech had. Mm-hmm. And now because of replay, again, the referees gave this game to UVA.
They definitely did.
Go ahead and at me on Twitter. I don't care because I will stand by it. There is too much. There's such a thing as too much replay, especially in college basketball. We talked about how the human element of referees. We talked about this, how the only way you can do it is have robot referees, which wouldn't happen because they would take all the calls too literally. You'd have no flow of a game.
They call it literally every single thing.
They would call every single thing. But this is where you have too much of it. There is no way in God's green earth would that ever happen where Moretti would come back and just miraculously lose the ball out of bounds. Mm-hmm. So that got me fired up. That was.
Are you hot?
Not as hot as I was earlier, but it's still pretty bad. I mean, I was legitimately pissed off for the Texas Tech fan base because they literally had that stolen from them.
Oh yeah.
The game was so tight, and then all of a sudden, as soon as that ball goes over to UVA, I think they ended up getting a foul, hitting a few free throws. Mm-hmm. This game is basically out of reach now because all the momentum got just sucked out of the room.
Yep.
Because of this kind of crap from the replay.
It happens.
So this is where all your little replay you were talking about how you need to have it. This is where your replay comes back and bites you in the ass.
Well, at the end of the day, we all just want to have a nice, fair game to make sure that there is nothing that will interfere with how the outcome of a game is supposed to be.
Agreed, but the intent was there. The intent that Hunter pushed the ball out of his hand, the intent is there. Moretti didn't even try to go and grab the ball a second time, which you see some players do, which is where you see the overturn. He literally had it poked out and didn't have time to grab the ball. And because it grazed one little skin on the tip of his pinky, the game is now UVA's.
On the tip of his chinny chin chin. Oh, man.
So I was pretty pissed off about that.
And it makes sense. To that end, it does make sense. But there still has to be a way to make this better. But that's going to be a conversation for another time.
They're going to be talking about that every single year. But I agree. You got to find ways.
Definitely got to find ways.
You got to find ways to help make the game better from a refereeing standpoint. And to their credit, the referees in this game, other than that one play, I think they did a great job in the title game.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the calls a week or two ago about some of the really bad calls they made. Mm-hmm. This game, other than that one call, this game was actually reffed really well, I think.
But the problem with it, though, is that do you think that these calls, do you think this is going to leave a stain on the lasting memory of this championship game?
Nah, people forget about it.
Yeah, of course
now,
they will.
in Lubbock, they will not forget about it.
Well, no, they definitely won't.
Texas Tech will never forget about this. But in the grand scheme of history, people will forget about it. Because, to their credit, UVA played very, very well. They deserve to win that.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, you hate to see a game end in that kind of condition.
Well, yeah, you definitely don't want anything like that to ever leave any kind of a mark or leave it even in the realm of possibility to be a deciding factor. But, again, things happen the way they happen.
Yep.
But looking at other things that are definitely going to be happening, we're going to be having an NBA draft coming up eventually. So we have some college players that have already been declaring to go into the draft and to stay at their schools. What are we looking at here?
As the season ends, you expect a lot of players to either declare for the draft, sign agents, or stay in school. Everybody knows about the big ones that are declaring. Zion actually hasn't officially declared that he's coming out for the draft.
I noticed that.
He accepted the Wooden Award for Best College Player, and they asked him about declaring, and he said he hasn't decided yet, which is dumb in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But, he knows he's going to be going to the NBA. Other guys, Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, those guys are all leaving. A lot of the big names we already know.
Yes.
Couple of surprises is what I wanted to put on this list here. One of the big ones was Duke freshman point guard Trey Jones elected to come back for his sophomore season at Duke, which he was projected to be a top 10, like a lottery pick.
Yeah.
So the fact that he wants to come back out to go to Duke next year was kind of surprising to me.
You know what I think that might be, though, is that when you have a guy like Zion come onto a team, he ends up, to a certain extent, even with how talented the rest of the Duke team was, they get overshadowed. A guy like Zion has a very large presence. So maybe this is more of Trey Jones maybe wanting to prove himself a little before he went into the draft. Maybe show that he is a guy that could take it on his shoulders and make things happen. But, like you said, though, he was already possibly going to be a top 10 pick. So,
I mean, his stock is probably the highest it's going to be right now. So, I mean, it's kind of a surprise for him. But if he does improve his game, improve his shooting, if he has the ball in his hands, he's already one of the best on-ball defenders in the country.
Oh, absolutely.
Even as a freshman. So that's going to be there. But barring injury, and if he can improve in the offseason, improve his jump shooting, just improve his shooting touch in general, and just have a somewhat similar season, the keys are his next year now.
Yeah, it's his to lose.
Yeah, the keys are going to be his. So now his draft stock is going to be all on his own shoulders.
Yep. So definitely going to be make or break depending upon what he's able to pull off. But calling it now, he's going to end up getting himself into a top 3 pick come the next draft.
I could see that. Definitely possible. He was already considered to be one of the top 5 this year, even with his 3 other teammates that were going to leave.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting. But hopefully he can continue to improve and stays healthy, and we'll have a another star for Duke to market around next year.
Well, of course they will, and do everything that they can, just like all the great people that we have that does all the support they do for the Podcast City Network. So definitely make sure that you stay tuned with us when we come back. We'll be talking about the NHL playoffs, a little bit of NFL news, and can't forget the good old major leagues and a good old give or go. So definitely make sure that you stay tuned. But listen to our sponsors now. We'll be right back.
Podcast City Network.